Hey everyone, welcome back to Urban Pro Wrestling. And I have with me here Pharaoh Johnson. Man, how are you?
How you doing? I'm all right.
It's awesome to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the newest signing to Urban Pro Wrestling. Really excited to have him. So I'm going to kick this straight off with, out of all careers, why professional wrestling?
It's something I wanted to do as a kid. I got into amateur wrestling in high school and college, just to start professional wrestling. And I've been wanting to do it since I was like 4 years old. So it's like, why not?
Yeah.
I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to be no cop. I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't want to do none of that shit. So I decided, yeah, I want to be a professional wrestler. Moved down here 5 years ago in Fort Lauderdale. I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, but I moved here 5 years ago. I trained at the Pablo Marquez, and ever since then, I just stuck with wrestling.
So you've been doing this for a couple of years, and what was your kind of introduction to pro wrestling? Like, what did you grow up watching and stuff like that?
Uh, as a kid, I mean, we only had antenna television, so my first time watching wrestling was like SmackDown when it was on UPN. So I started watching that, and then my mother's husband at the time passed away, but his family they had cable, so we'll go there Monday nights and watch Nitro and things like that. So I was able to be blessed to watch all of it pretty much and watching ECW and things like that. So ever since then, I just stuck with it. I didn't really watch anything else besides Dukes of Hazzard. So I pretty much watched nothing but wrestling, and that's all I watched religiously was just wrestling.
Wow. So what are some of your like inspirations? Like, who do you take the most like inspiration from in terms of wrestlers?
I mean, obviously it's like Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero, just Chris Benoit, those actually professional wrestlers. I actually look back and watch Bruiser Brody, Bad News Brown, guys like that. They've done a lot of wrestling, and some of them had more of a character. Like, so I just watch those guys. I study wrestling, and I got into amateur wrestling because of Kurt Angle. And all these things I've done to try to prepare myself to be a professional wrestler.
Wow. And so you mentioned that you did amateur wrestling, right?
Yeah. I was a heavyweight. Then I moved to 170 pounds the next year. And the next year I wrestled at 182 pounds. So, yeah.
Wow. So like, was it during high school, collegiate?
The high school, I did a lot of all season, all American type of things. Stuff like that during the off season camps and things like that.
Oh, wow. So was that kind of easier for you to transition into the world of pro wrestling?
Yeah and no, because wrestling is different. I think everybody has that mindset to just go in there and then they have it off the top. But I think a lot of the stuff, more like the chain wrestling and stuff, it actually goes hand in hand with amateur wrestling. But that's about it, pretty much. Other than
Wow.
that, it's not the same thing.
Yeah. It's funny because like you we've during this interview process we have had a bunch of different athletic backgrounds from just calisthenics to basketball, football, track. Like we've had just a bunch of different people come from different athletic backgrounds, and to have wrestling, I find that is one of the more rare ones actually, which has kind of surprised me. Um, but it's interesting to always know that it doesn't really help as much as I think people would think it would. Um, and I want to ask, for training, how was it like for you? Some people are, I've heard, naturals, and some it just takes a while. Were you kind of in the middle, or one or the other?
I mean, it naturally came, but when I first started, it was kind of a little difficult because actually I was in Virginia when I started wrestling, and the ring was it was horrible. The ring was just straight plastic, like the canvas, and it was hard, with the ropes. And I never done it before. So hitting the ropes and being bruised for like weeks and stuff like that was difficult because I'd never been in so much pain. I want to say about a month or two later, I ended up getting used to it. So it didn't become like really rocket science anymore.
Oh wow. And I wanted to talk to you about your finisher because you guys kind of nowadays you guys have so many different names for so many moves. So could you take us through that?
I'm sorry, your reception was bad. What did you say?
Sorry. Yeah. Nowadays you guys have a lot of different names for finishing maneuvers. Do you mind just taking us through what is yours?
To be completely honest, you out of respect, I don't really like talk about or expose the business, especially when it comes to like moves and stuff like that. I just think that when you start doing that, like start naming down the moves and narrowing things down, it kind of like exposes the business of what's left. But I will say this that there's too many names for just the same basic moves. You know,
Agreed.
it's too much, and some of the moves just unnecessary names and things like that. So uh, even when even the moves are so basic, it just made no sense. I saw one match on the internet. I'm not gonna say any names. A guy he was in the ring, and he jumps over the ring, outside of the ring, to land on the guy just to do a DDT. Just do a DDT, bro. Makes no sense. Like it's like to me, it's just like, what is the purpose of doing all that just to narrow down to execute a basic move?
That's
I think
the
that's what's I don't know. I don't know. I just keep my opinions to myself.
yeah, that's the new wave, I guess. um, so when you mentioned Chris Benoit, Bret Hart, Bruiser Brody, guys like that, um, very physical, very technical. Is that kind of where you created your arsenal from to take those
Uh,
inspirations?
well, yeah, actually learning from Pablo Marquez, I learned how to pretty much, uh, I learned how to pretty much wrestle.
Mhm.
So he showed me a different style, like a lucha style and things like that. But he also taught us the very fundamentals of wrestling. So the basic goes over, less is more of a character wise, and that's how you get over a character. So learning how to wrestle, learning how to do the basics to me, it showed me different because when I first started, I was like, oh, I'm going to be next King Omega, the white version, and I was going to do all this shit. And then when he narrowed it down, it's just like, these are basic things that guys did in the 80s and the 90s. And it's like, look how much you remember them now compared to what they're doing now. It's not rememberable.
Yeah. Wow. Um, yeah, I'm kind of glad you mentioned character work. I always ask this: do you find it easier being a heel or a face?
I never been a face. I mean, it depends because my character is pretty much who I am in real life. And so when I go to a black area or a suburban area, I'm cheered. But I go to the country area with all the white people, I'm pretty much booed out the ass. So it's I can't even say what I am. I can't say if I'm a heel or a face. It depends where I'm at, the environment. But a person like me and the things that I say, the things that I preach that are actually accurate, that is actually real life, and that's actually true, it depends who the niche market accepts. So it depends. If I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, I'm gonna get booed out the ass. I actually had threats online. And when I'm in the urban area or the hood, like where I'm at right now, I'm getting cheered, I'm getting clapped. Got kids talking to me and taking pictures with me. So it's different. It's where I'm at. It's pretty much. But if I had to, whatever the promoter says to do, I do whatever the promoter wants me to work. Yeah, I learned to work both. Actually, to be honest with you, you can't sell yourself as a worker if you don't know how to work face or heel. You have to learn to work both.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I definitely want to ask, what is the match you've probably learned the most from?
Ah, man, that's really hard to say because there's so many good matches. There's so much that you can learn from. One to be like Michaels and Angle in WrestleMania. You can learn a lot from that. Uh, Everybody says the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels match from WrestleMania. If you really want to learn over the top characters, let's say Hogan and Warrior, it's so much that you can really look back and watch and learn so much. So it's really hard for me to say that. I just know that I watch so much that
Well,
I watch everything. I watch footwork. I watch everything because you never stop learning. But the one I learned the most is I can't really answer that.
but what about in your career, like from the match that you've had?
I wrestled James St. Patrick like a couple times. Actually, it was my first match when I ever wrestled. So I learned so much from him. When he makes a lot of sense of the things that he says and things like that. I wrestled Kikitaru, which is a guy from Japan. I learned how to basically wrestle a style that I don't even understand or a language barrier and learning how to be able to work without speaking and things like that. Yeah.
Wow, that must have been awesome. So my next question: what is your most favorite match that you've had to date?
I was actually looking. I was in a 6-man match with Super Crazy, Will Austin, Bugs Moran, Jackal Stevens, and Jefe Santos, and it was a 6-man match. It was actually looking back at it, it wasn't a bad match. It was actually pretty fun. I call it the match that every wrestler in the match had their specials at 5, max specials at 5, and just started using the finishers. Just started doing like crazy shit. Just start, wrestling. And when you look back at it, a lot of us, oh, that match sucked, that match shitty. But I look at it, it's like 500 views. It's fucking fun to me. It's like one of my favorite matches that I've done so far.
Nice. All right. And to, get close to capping it off, what are your goals in professional wrestling?
Honestly, just to be a great wrestler, to keep learning and to be a great asset. I don't want to be one of those guys that have a bad attitude, that have a bad reputation. I want to be able to the promoter says, hey, I want to book this guy. This guy is a lot of work, and I just want to get better. I used to have this stigma of wrestling should be this way, that way. That was my goal, and now I look at it as time has changed. I just have to start looking out for myself and to just get to where I want to be at. I think in the next 5, 6 years, I want to be on TV. I want to be where I'm better than where I'm at, now. It's not about really much about what I'm doing right now. It's about what I'm going to do tomorrow. And not just that too, I have a son now, so I want my son to be able to be proud of me, I don't want him to be, saying, hey, Dad, why you stop wrestling? And I tell him why, and he's going to be like, you're a bitch. I don't want him to think that way. He's only one, so he has like a whole bunch of years to go. And I want him to be proud of me. I don't want him to see me miserable doing shit that I don't want to do.
Exactly. Right. So for my last one, what are your goals in urban pro wrestling?
To be honest with you, I want to help establish the company. It's a new company. I'm excited. So that's one of the goals that I want to do. The second one, I want to be champion. I've been a champion before. I actually hold a prestigious title, so I want to be able to hold an urban pro wrestling title, and then I want to make it prestigious, and I just want to be the top guy. So I have to do what I have to do to be the top guy. So I'm anxious. I'm excited. I see the guys that you have on the roster, guys like Pharaoh, a guy that I knew that I was training before I left that school. To see how he has become now is it's amazing to me. And actually, when I see him, I'm gonna make sure I shake his hand and apologize to him because I doubted him, but he's gotten so talented and so good in so little time, and I can't wait to wrestle him. Bison Clutch is another guy that I'm really anxious to get in the ring with. Somebody to help train, and the roster from top to bottom, I'm ready to just get in the ring and dance with him.
All righty. And with that being said, do you have any social media you want to plug, sir?
I have a new Instagram because my Instagram literally just got hacked, but it's the Teflon. It's TH3T3FLON. That's on Instagram, and then I have a Twitter as the Vegan Teflon. So it's literally the Vegan Teflon. But I also have a YouTube channel. It's just Pharaoh Johnson. And I have a lot of matches on there, so if you want to check them out, things like that, you can just look that up.
Alrighty, and with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, follow us on Urban Pro, on Urban Pro, geez, follow us on Twitter at Urban PW, follow us on Instagram at Urban Pro Wrestling, follow us on Facebook at Urban Pro Wrestling, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Urban Pro Wrestling as well. And we also have a website, www.urbanprowrestling.com. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest addition to UPW, Pharaoh Johnson. Great to have him. We're excited to have him. Can't wait to see what he does inside a UPW ring. And with that being said, everybody, have a great one. We'll see you next time.